everyone. I hope you are all doing well. Today we are going to do a Spike Prime robot programming kind of tutorial for our coaches trainers meeting today. Basically, we're going to go over how to do the basic coding for moving forward and turning with the Spike Prime robot. This is especially good for newer teams because this can be kind of like a tutorial you guys can show your group on how to, like I said, do the basics like moving forward and a little bit more about the Spike Prime robot. So let's just get into it. So to begin, like I said, welcome everyone. Welcome to the exciting world of First LEGO League. I hope your team is very excited for this season. And we do have two robots. We have the Spike Prime robot, which I'm going to talk about now. And it's been out actually for a few years, but I guess it is the newer robot. And there is the EV3 robot. But for today's training, we're going to be talking about the Spike Prime robot. So let's get into it. So the Spike Prime robot, it has a few different advantages compared to the EV3 one. It has a little bit more of a compact design. There's sturdier wheels. To be more specific, there is also more ports for connecting motors and sensors. And then there's also some better display technology and an easier Scratch-like programming app interface, which we will get into when we get into the programming aspect of this training. And then I did want to mention for all the teams out there that might be still using the EV3 robot, yes, you can still use it in competition. If your team has worked with it for a few years, prefers it, that is completely fine. So getting ready for the training, what you need is you need your Spike Prime robot. So I have mine right here. And then you need to have the Spike Prime app. So to download the software, there's this following link right here, and it will usually tell you what your operating system is and to download the software based on that operating system. For me, I have a Mac, and so I think I can just, let's see, you should get something similar to this. So as you can see, once you click on the link, it tells you you can select whichever device you have and then get the app, and that will allow you to kind of be able to program with the Spike Prime robot. So once you're there and you have downloaded it, then we can actually get started on the programming. So programming 101, how the Spike Prime app works is basically it uses block programming. So what is block program? Block programming is kind of like you see over here where basically the code is coded using blocks like almost like Tetris, where you kind of piece together the blocks and each block represents a different thing. So how Spike Prime differentiates the blocks is that they use different colors and they categorize them in different types. So if you can kind of see over here, we have the motors being blue, we have the movement being pink, sound and light being different shades of purple, and basically depending on what type of action you want to do, you would go into that area and you choose that block. And as you can see over here, this is kind of what some of the shapes of the block will look like. So it's really just piecing together those blocks. And we'll show it a little bit when I get to the programming, but this is a general how the format of the code is done in the app. Now, some other things, like I said before, there are specific things that you will have to change in the code based on your design and your build of your robot. I will mention what you will have to change, so do not worry about that. That is just something that if you notice that you are coding your robot and when you run it on your robot, it's not working, it might be because you might have to change some of the motor ports that you're using, which I will show when I'm actually programming. So the first program we are going to do is the moving forward program. Now I am going to share my screen. Once you open up the Spike Prime app, this is generally what you should get. It's a home exploring learning materials as well as a open up new canvas. So let me see if I can, there we go. So what you're going to do is you're going to select new project and we're going to choose word blocks. Now you're going to want to name your project something, right? And so for our sakes, we're going to say moving forward. Okay. And then you're going to, once again, select word blocks and you're going to create the project. So this basically creates the project that you're going to be using. So let's get started on it. So to begin, we now have made a new project, and what we're going to do is we're going to use the motor blocks. the movement blocks. So if you go down here, you can see the movement blocks. Now, I want to mention something important. As you can see here, there's this when program start blocks. This is basically the beginning block for all your program. So every block that we code with is going to be attached by some link to this block. So now to move forward, what we're going to do is we're going to first get our set movement motors to A plus B. So once again, move over to the movement area, go all the way down, select set movement motors to A plus B. And how you move the blocks is you kind of click, hold, and you drag it to where you want, and you just let it connect to the block above it. So what this block does is on your robot, you have your wheels, right? And your wheels are connected to motors. And the thing is that these motors are wired to different ports that are labeled over here. Now, what you want to do is you want to come and look at your robot and you want to say, okay, which wheel is connected to which port? So for me, my robot is connected to port C and D for the wheels. So what I have to do is I have to come over here and change the A plus B to C, D. Now, the reason why I have to do this is that for some reason, say I forget that I have to check that and my motors are not connected to what my code says they are, it's going to run the program, but my robot's not going to move. So you have to make sure that you set the motors in the code to whatever you have hardwired in your robot. So for me, once again, I went over here and just clicked C and D. So now I have it set up that my C and D wheels are going to move. So now after we do that, what we're going to do is we are going to add the move for 10 rotations. Now, before we do this, I actually want to suggest this block, which is the set movement speed block. So what this does is it's nice because you can set the movement speed to whatever you want, 100% being, the total 100 go forward speed that you would want, and 50% being maybe half speed. This is kind of nice because for some reason the team wants to move at a different speed, they can change that. So I'm going to leave mine at 50%, but then I am going to add the move forward for 10 rotations block. And so what this 10 rotations block means is it basically means one full rotation of the wheel. So what we like to do is we like to tell the kids, look at where this arrow is and kind of just whenever that comes back to a full loop, that's about one rotation. And so basically what we're telling the robot is we're trying to say, hey, move forward for 10 full rotations of the wheel. And so sometimes, if I can be honest, it might be a guess and check process. It might be you can measure with the wheels, or you can do, like I said, and have this little stick here and try to, go off based on that. But that is probably the best way to do it is, just kind of play around, see what method your team works best with. Okay, so like I said, now we have the set motors, we have the set speed, and we have the move for 10 rotations. And once again, all of these can be found in the movement category over here. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to add an exit block. We're going to go to the exit block. So the exit block is all the way in the control area. And in the control area, if you look here, there is a stop all at the very bottom. So what you're going to do is you're going to click and add that stop all. But what we're going to do is we're going to say stop and exit program. Once again, it was at stop all. We're going to click the all and click stop and exit program. Now what this basically does is it basically tells the robot to stop all devices and exit the program. It's kind of just a nice clean way for the robot just to stop and end what it's doing. Okay, so now after we have made our programming code, we want it to run on the robot, right? So what we're going to do is, I'm sure you guys have a wire that came with your robot. Some teams do Bluetooth, but I recommend that you always know how to use the wire, just because when you go to competition, there's like 10 plus other teams there. You all have robots. If you're all trying to connect by Bluetooth, it can kind of sometimes be a mess. So I recommend that you guys do know how to use the wire and connect with the wire to your robot. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect the wire to our computer, and then we are going to connect the wire to our robot. And you should be able to see if it connects based on this green little circle. Now let's see. So if you come over here, mine already connected because my robot, I've used it with my computer before. But if you come over here and you click here, it will let you know whether your robot is connecting or not. And you can really tell because it'll have this green little circle here. And you'll be able kind of to see where everything is plugged into your robot. So that's kind of a nice little way to just make sure that your thing is actually connected, is to come over to where I clicked over here, just click here. And if you see the green little circle, it means it's connected. If not, it'll talk you through the process of troubleshooting that and getting your robot connected. We are going to now run this. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to this little square at the bottom that you see here. If you click this, it gives you an option to download to Hub, which you can click this little download area right here, and it automatically downloads the program to your robot. So it's very easy, very simple. Once you get your robot connected, the actual downloading portion is very simple. What you can also do though, if you kind of want to just make sure your robot's, working and it's downloading right, you can click this yellow button over here. It's the play. And if I download it, you can see that my robot is running. So basically what that play button does is that it automatically starts whatever code you just ran or you just are downloading. So like I say here, press it, and it's going to run my program that I just did for you guys right now. And if you ever need to stop in the middle, you can always press this red button and it stops the program. So as I mentioned, this is how you press the new project button. Make sure that your project has the same name as something that would relate to your mission or whatever the kids are coding for. You use the set motors block and you select what motors that you are using for your robot. Then you add the move forward for 10 centimeters block, and this will basically either go forward for 10 centimeters or you can change whatever number of centimeters you want. And then you have the add exit program. As well as that, I taught you guys how to connect to the robots and how to download it. All right, so the next thing we are going to learn is turning in place point turns. So what is a point turn? So basically a point turn is, there's two different types of turns. There's the turn where your robot is moving forward and it turns, so it kind of does this like very much sweep of a turn. And that can be useful sometimes, but a lot of times you kind of want to stay in the same place you are and just turn. That is called a point turn. Now, basically, one of your wheels is going to be moving and the other isn't. So that way you can stay in the same position you're in, just turn. So we're going to learn how to do that. Alrighty. So if we go home and then we click new project. So once again, I was here. You can always click home, click new project, and I'm going to call this point turning. So point turning is the name of my project. I have word blocks that I'm going to choose for the type of programming I want to do, and I press create. So now that we have our point turning project open, this is basically one way that you can do a turn. There is another way that you can also do a turn, but this is one way you can have your robot turn. So basically we start with the when program starts block. We do come back down here and we set our movement motors to whatever ports that we chose. So for example, mine are C and D. You guys choose whichever one that your wheels are connected to, and you can click them here. Then what we're going to do is basically what point turning is like I mentioned earlier, one of your wheels stays it doesn't move, and then the other wheel does move. And so what that allows your robot to do is kind of stay in the same position, just turn. And so it's really nice if you are already at, say, the location of the mission that you want to work on, but you don't want to turn and have it be flinging everywhere. This allows you kind of just to stay in the position you're at, the location you're at, and just turn. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to select C run for one rotation. So what this block is saying is it's basically saying run this motor, this one motor, and run it in this direction. So I'm going to have my robot turn to the right for one rotation. So what that means is it's going to take my robot and it's going to say, hey, you wheel, C motor wheel. What you're going to do is you're going to run an only C motor wheel. You're going to run for 1 rotation. So this allows us to do the point turn that I was talking about earlier. So I actually like to do 1.5 because I think that gives me a little bit more of a turn which I want. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to get our stop all block. And we're going to say stop and exit program. So you can always come over here and change whichever direction you want. You can come over here and change from rotations to degrees, seconds, whichever one your team prefers. And you can change this number in here to whatever you like, as well as whichever motor you want to run. So we're going to come over here, click download. So now it's downloaded onto my robot. And then we're going to come over to this yellow. I'm going to show you guys. So here's my C motor. If I run it, you can see that it runs. Only one of my wheels is running. The other one does not run. So that's how you program for the point turn. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to kind of turn in a way that our robot just moves a little bit forward and turns. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up a new program. So we're going to come over here, we're going to go home, click new project. I'm going to name this move turn. Click word blocks and create. So now what we're going to do here is, as you can see, we have our program starts block. We're going to move down here and we're going to click our set motors, movement motors to blank plus blank. And once again, make sure that you have the right setup for your motors, for your wheels. So for my robot, it is C and D. And after doing that, we are going to come over here and select the move right 30 for 10 rotations. So what this means is we're going to have our robot move to the right for 30, as you can see here, and for 10 rotations. So 10 might be a little bit high, a little bit not. We can try it out right now. And then after, what basically this is saying is we're saying, hey, robot, move this way for 10 rotations. So I'm going to do 2 rotations just for now, just to try it out. And then as we always do at the very end, we are going to add a stop all, but instead of all, we're going to choose an exit program. Okay, so just once again, come over here to the download area, download the program to your robot, and then you can click this yellow button and it will run. This does allow you to turn your robot into this way, or if you want to go on the left side, you can go and change it to left. So this is a way for you to have your robot turn. We want to end this session by saying thank you so much for joining. I hope that this, basic tutorial on how to use the basic functions of the robot really helps your team and you as coaches. We wish you guys a great season and a great competition. We hope you guys have a lot of fun and that you guys learn a lot. If you guys have any questions or need any help with any more code, basic or more advanced, please let us know and we can always help out. Alrighty guys, thank you.